Hello, Steve White, TrekBoy89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, we have had a shocking development, an absolutely shocking development for Star Trek fans or Discovery fans. The day before Discovery Season 4 was about to premiere on Netflix internationally all around the world, as well as Paramount Plus in America and North America, they have pulled the plug. Netflix has pulled, they're not just not premiering and releasing Season 4 of Discovery, they've pulled all 3 seasons of Discovery with no warning. Now, anyone who says this was planned, and they knew this was going to happen, that Paramount Plus CBS knew this is where this was going, I call BS. I'm sorry, no, you do not promote a show to be released on November 18. Just do your big marketing campaign and promote it everywhere, and then last minute change it with no warning and pull the rug out of all your fans. No, Netflix has done this to CBS and Paramount. I'm very sure of this because of the history, which I'm going to go into eventually. Now, what is going to happen is in 2022, Star Trek Discovery Season 4 will premiere and stream on Paramount Plus in about 20 countries, and then they're going to roll that out for another 25 countries to get to about 45 countries by the end of the year, because that's the push now they're making to try and get Paramount Plus everywhere. They've been doing that for the last year or so. But yeah, it's only going to air in Northern America on Paramount Plus, and then it's just going to disappear. It's not going to be showing anywhere. So all the people who thought they were going to be watching it tomorrow, they're not going to be seeing it tomorrow. Not on Netflix either way. So this is a disaster. This is an absolute disaster. You do not basically cancel the show and reschedule it for 2-3 months or more. We don't know when it's premiering in 2002. They've just said 2022, sorry. Is it going to be January, February, March? We don't know. Is it going to be January 1 or no one knows. So it's a bit of a mess. Now it's still going to be, thanks to the contracts that are, set in stone. It's going to be showing in Canada on Bell Media, CTV, Sci-Fi Channel, and streaming on Crave. So it will have a cable premiere and screening, and it will have streaming. So we'll have, like always, those views and those ratings. And it'll be interesting because Discovery fans have always defended those low ratings by saying, oh, well, it was available to stream and it was available on all these services, so that's why no one watched it on TV. That's not an indication of the actual popularity of the show. Well, that's going to be a little bit different considering the situation now. And I know Season 1 of Discovery is screening in Australia at the moment. Now, whether they're going to continue that, Season 2, Season 3, and then working to 4 eventually after it's been on Paramount Plus, or I don't know how that's working. But they seem to be repeating what they did in the US with Season 1. So basically the international streaming boss, Kelly Day, basically has said that, well, he didn't say much really, did he? I think I basically covered everything. They said they really gave very little detail. It was a closed deal, and they're saying that CBS brought out Netflix like, well, we wanted it for Paramount. We wanted it for Paramount Plus. We wanted to bring it home, make it exclusive for Paramount Plus, so we bought out Netflix like Netflix still wanted it, because 3 of the Star Trek shows were pulled from Netflix just recently. And we know long-term this was the plan, to have all the shows exclusive Paramount Plus, to have Star Trek exclusively and to be the home of Star Trek. But they still had deals with Netflix and Amazon. Now, Amazon is fairly secure because that was a later deal. But the initial deal with Netflix was a mess from the beginning. Now I'm going to get into that. Now, basically, back in the day, Netflix started streaming in 2011 with Star Trek. They had all the classic Star Treks. They streamed through the roof, and they were basically begging CBS, let us make another Star Trek show because it's going to be huge, and it's just going to help us, promote it. It's just going to, the new show's just going to push the other shows to do better, and the old shows, they're just going to feed off each other. It's going to be amazing. But CBS said, no, that doesn't benefit us, goodbye. And eventually they wanted to set up their own streaming service, CBS All Access, And they're like, well, what do we have that we can use that people will pay? Committed, dedicated, fanatical fans will pay for. Star Trek. That show Netflix wanted. Okay, so they went and negotiated with Bad Robot and Secret Hideout, and lo and behold, we eventually got Star Trek Discovery. Now, Star Trek Discovery had a lot of problems. Brian Fuller left during the production. They didn't have the full licensing issue. There were issues because it went through Paramount, and then it went through CBS, and CBS had a non-compete clause with Paramount, so then Paramount wouldn't let them make CBS and Paramount. They couldn't basically agree, and CBS couldn't really make a show that had any resemblance to the JJ films, and the JJ films couldn't have any resemblance to the original show, and they couldn't do a show while they were doing the films, and they had to extend the films to finish beyond on time, and it was just a huge mess. Financially, basically, CBS had pretty much the series paid for by Netflix. Netflix paid so much for the international rights for all the series and the access to all the series, as well as Discovery's international rights, that they covered the fees covered the whole first season of Discovery and pretty much a big chunk of the second season as well. But unfortunately, they didn't get the show that they were expecting. It wasn't delivered. They were expecting a continuation of the Star Trek universe that people were already addicted to, and they got an alternative universe under a different license, and just a whole lot of arguments and disagreements and division between the fans, and it was just a huge mess. And they wanted out. They wanted out fairly early when they saw that it wasn't streaming. They weren't getting the numbers they were expecting. It was costing them more than they were expecting. They'd gone over budget, and it was just a mess all the way around. They wanted out. They couldn't get out. The only way to get out was to buy out the next 3 or 4 years of what they had promised to spend as a producer, and just in the contract that they had. So they just stayed in the contract because it was cheaper to stay in and just lose money, a little bit of money, than pay the whole thing out at once. But now, I guess we finally got to the point where it was less of a burden to pay out the rest of the contract with CBS than it was to stay in bed with CBS. So that's basically what's happened, as far as I have found out. I won't say. So that's basically what's happened. They've finally gotten out of their contract, and that's why it's last minute. That's why it wasn't announced. No one was prepared. It's like the day before, and I think Netflix did this to Paramount. They've done this to sort of sabotage them because they resent how everything went, and this is their little slap in the face of them. They're just going to pull it the day before. So I don't blame them. It's a bit petty, but considering all the dirty tricks that went down in all the contracts, and I don't blame them. So that's basically what's happened here. This is JJ's favourite song. This is Sabotage. It's just, I almost feel bad for the Discovery fans who are, I'd be pretty hard if I was waiting for this new show that I love, and the day before it premieres, it gets pulled, and you have to wait months, and you have to pay for a whole separate service to actually see it. That's just could you ask for a worse PR nightmare on the premiere of a show? On a streaming show, really. This is. I'm not even gonna say anything nasty. It's just like, wow, they don't need to be kicked while they're down. It's not nice. I don't blame Netflix, but it's pretty nasty. So that's the situation. That's where it's at. Now Amazon, their contract with Picard and Lower Decks is pretty solid, because that was made after obviously Netflix wanted to get out of involvement of get out of producing and get out of the contract with Secret Hideout with Discovery, and they couldn't. So obviously they weren't going to sign on and get in bed with them again for Picard. So they had to shop that around and eventually went to Amazon. But they sort of were better prepared. So Amazon's with them, with Picard, they're fairly committed. So that doesn't seem to be going anywhere. There's no danger there. But Netflix wanted out, and they got out, and they managed to do it in the most destructive way that they could have at the worst possible time. And I really think that's deliberate. I don't think it's an accident. They're acting like it was planned, that Paramount knew all this. That's rubbish. You don't promote the premiere of a show and then pull it the day before as a plan. No, that didn't happen. But yeah, I don't have much else to say. I feel bad for Discovery fans. I mean, I haven't watched it on Netflix since the first season. I don't care. I'm not getting Paramount Plus. I don't care. I'll still see it. I'll still review it. I'll still have problems with it unless they drastically change it. But I feel bad for Discovery fans. I do. It's not their fault that they got served this show. They got a taste for it, and now they've had it pulled away from them and been slapped in the face. It's not nice. So I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. It will be interesting because, I mean, these people are going to see all the spoilers are going to come out, and it's just going to ruin a whole season of the show for fans that have to wait like months for it. Bye.